Alright, so welcome back. Today we're going to start getting some of the dash pieces, and that requires some electronic stuff. So I got the test bench here going, and there's a couple things that I decided to take care of right before I get started. So let's go take a look at a couple things, and we'll get working on the dash and gauges and that type of stuff. So let's get rolling. Alright, so I pretty much got my three essential gauges. We've got speedometer, fuel, and tach. So that's essentially all that I really need. I mean, could use like a coolant temperature, but I don't know what type of room I've got. So before I get too carried away, I know I need at least these three. So first thing is, I decided I wanted to look at how everything would essentially look in the car. So that involves wiring up the gauges here. Now on this one, it's a glow shift, and it's got like, when you turn the light on, the headlights, it just slightly dims the backlight a little bit. So we're probably just going to leave it always dimmed. So let's get that. All right, now we can just fire her up. So you should be able to see that's a pretty decent color and all that. Let's lower the tripod a little more. It's a nice little cool white background. It'll do its thing. It's got a little shift light there. So then let's see. Next item was the fuel gauge. So I kind of wanted to see what that looks lit up with directly out of the box. All right, there we go. You can see the stock standard lighting. It's a much yellower light than right next to this LED one. So I decided that I should remove this standard incandescent light, and then we had a couple of these little guys left over from the car and decided to shove it in there. But just like the rear of the car on the Crossfire for those side markers, this front LED is just a little too much, and it makes it a little too blinding. So I decided to go through and remove that third LED. So then I had to connect the circuit there. So we'll have a LED light. That should work just fine. So now we'll plug that back in, and it should be more of a cool white look to kind of go with everything. So now that we definitely know that that works well, I created two more that I'm going to shove in the back of the Crossfire on the side markers, and then we won't have that kind of gradient color there. Now the last is this Chinese speedometer. Okay, so now fire everything up, and we got our speedometer working. and it has kind of a interesting functionality. It's got 2 LED colors. So we've got a yellow, and then we have a red. And then, just for the fun of it, if you mix the two together, you get kind of an orange. So in my hypothetical concept, I think we'll stick with the orange color just for now. I might, at some point in time, if I feel a little froggy or something, I could take these extra LEDs and kind of drill holes in here and get it more of that white color. But that'll be someday for later. This one's for an external button for modes and everything. Can't forget, this is actually a GPS speedometer. Alright, so anyways, that's this little antenna there. We've got other features that this speedometer does, that, which is the reason why I got this thing. And that is, we got the high beam indicator. And then we got a blinker. And another blinker. Alright, we had to turn that heater off there for a little bit. It's gonna get starting to get a little chilly in here. But that's essentially what we're looking at here for the gauges. And just for fun, I think we can turn off the lights here. All right, well, it's not really nice in focus here, but you kind of get the idea. All right, so I guess that's enough for here. We need to figure out our dashboard panels. We got our start button that we can put to good use. I did get my final little pigtail piece for the starter, so we can throw that in there as well. And essentially, let's just show off what we got going on here. This is the panel for right inside on the dash console section. So that piece of that shifter goes right through here, and this is where we're going to mount all of our buttons and switches, and hopefully we got enough room that we can mount the little Holly panel, because that's going to be where I have to get all my other gauges like coolant temperature, fuel pressure, all that type of stuff. That should be easy enough to rig up there. So we got that we can rivet on. And then I'm currently working on the insert for the main gauges in the dash. Alright, so inside the dash here, it's like I put the dash support piece for the gauge back in there. It just barely fits in there with the crossbar in there. So that fits pretty nice. We can drill that in, get that riveted in, and figure out where we're putting all of our buttons and switches. And then our dash section up here, just another piece of plastic here. And we just stuff it in there. Dash clips down into that piece. So essentially all they should do is put a couple of screws right here in these screw points, and then I don't think that section is going to go anywhere. Now, I need to figure out where I want to put our dash. This is going to be interesting because I can barely see over this steering wheel. Put our finishing ring to make sure that nothing hangs down. I think that's doable there. Okay. Maybe let's scoot that over a little more. You can see that. All right, more or less like that. All right, so after a lot of messing around with stuff, this is kind of what we're looking at. You can see we got all of our gauges up here and our control stack right there. Got the Terminator Handheld put in its mounting bracket there. The way it's set up right now is you can't remove it, so I will find out if that's a good thing or a bad thing later. Should keep someone from trying to hijack it. But anyways, we need to throw the dash pad back up there. And I think we're just about done under the dash. Alright, so while the heater's blaring off in the distance there, let's fire it up and just see what the gauges and everything looks like in here. Okay. I can deal with it. That's doable. Alright, so it's definitely not going to win the best looking gauge cluster, but it will get the job done, and maybe someday we'll have the gumption to throw in like a holly dash or something, but that is for a later time. We just need to get this thing rolling and operating. It's like you can't go straight to full awesomeness right from the start, because you never know how everything's going to work to begin with. So, I'm thinking I'm liking where I'm at here. I guess off camera I'm probably going to throw the starter in. And then I guess we just need to tackle fuel. Then we'll be able to fire this thing. Interesting. Alright, so I don't really have a whole much more to do with this thing. Just a couple of things to button up. We got to finish putting the starter in and putting the big cable up onto the lug there. Probably throwing another big yellow wire on for the alternator, and then we'll be pretty much set. So yeah, I'm gonna tackle that next couple days or so, and then hopefully come probably beginning of February we can start this thing. That's going to be real fun and exciting, and I kind of don't want to miss it, and I shouldn't. So anyways, thanks again for stopping by and watching, and of course, if you haven't subscribed, you know the usual stuff. I don't need to tell you how to make YouTube work, so I guess I got nothing else to say, so I'll just see you all later.